Hey, g'day, and welcome to another Let's Play. This one's on Ostriv. Now, Ostriv is a new city builder. It's based in the 18th century sort of town settings, and I'm gathering sort of Eastern European or European sort of area. I guess it's very similar to like a Banished or a Life is Fuel forest village. It is in early access, and there's still a lot of development to go. And a few options that aren't available. It is quite challenging, I found at the beginning, and there's not a sort of a strong tutorial, so it is sort of trial and error. And I've got to admit that even though the village is sort of starting to get a little bit of a shape here, it has taken a while to get here with a few sort of resets. So now let's get into a new game. Okay, to start a new game, you've got a choice of 3 maps. We'll pick a standard map. Matter of fact, we'll just pick the same map. Actually, we'll pick something different. There we go. That we've started here. So, once again, you can use the keys to sort of scroll around, middle mouse button to scroll around. Very similar. If you've played, and obviously you do like city builders, the settings are quite similar. Up the top, you've actually got, just going to pause it for a bit. Up the top, you've actually got the amount of individuals, male and female. It doesn't actually have or designate the children at the top. But what it does do is when you look at the houses, you'll see your children itself. Your currency itself, 999. If you did actually have a look at my other map, you would have seen I was negative, so you do need to watch your currency. And down the bottom is purely construction. So construction of houses, construction of water, production, trade, and government, decorations. And then the last 3 options, education, as per Alpha 1 Patch 7, education, health, and religion is not currently in the game. So, you know, I'll keep watching the build. I do like the game. I've been playing it for a few hours now, and yeah, I'll definitely, depending on the feedback, definitely look at keep on giving further updates as the patches come out. Now, the tutorial, as I said, it doesn't really have much of a tutorial. It's a sort of a hit and a miss, but it does give you a little bit of a hint on the left-hand side to build a forestry for wood production. The other one to look at is your actual seasons, or you're starting in March of 1721. Everyone at the moment is currently living in tents, and it's just the reason that I've paused it at the moment. You probably have a 2-year window. Your first window is to get your early settlers into a level of standard housing. Your second one would be to get your settlers a level of food by the second winter, being December, not June, July if you live in Australia. So basically a European winter. And that's what I see at the beginning as the first 2 key points you need to get to. So let's start it off again. First thing we want to do is build a forestry for production. So R&T actually rotates your map. And we can just pass this next to it just to start the actual build itself. Now with this here, you don't actually allocate, let's say your builders or your people that are transferring the stores. They're actually allocated automatically. But what you do allocate is the individuals that work in that particular building. So they'll actually just drop that off. Now at the same time, we're going to just get a couple of buildings up and running whilst we do that. And the next thing we want to do is focus a little bit on the housing. So let's rotate. A neat one they got is you can actually link things in or lock things in, or snap them in. I should probably say it's probably more things. So just hold the shift key and you can actually snap. In this case here, we're going to snap a few houses. in next to each other. So that's got 4 houses on the build, and what I find is I sort of build a few houses, I build something else. Now what I need to do is I need to try, and as you can see here, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 tents. So I need to try and build 9 houses by December, or else the settlers that do not have houses will leave. And they won't come back when you build a house, but once you gain self-sufficiency, then they will actually come back for the houses. Now, whilst you've got individuals as well, you need to sort of have water, so we're just going to build a well. You've got 2 types of water. You've got a well, which is actually a basic source of drinking, but it's also for production as well. And I believe with the jetty is solely for production water. So we're just going to take that water. We've got the individuals out at the front there. So we're just going to, let's say, drop the well here, and that should be enough for them to get those things. By opening up the houses, as you can see, you've only got 1 house to choose from. I would assume that at later stages there would be other options for houses. Wells, as we said, we've got 2 types of water. One for it allows both the water for commercial use, but also for the individuals as well. And then this is the main screen, which actually has all of your production units. The next one is your trade and transport, which would actually have such things as, and we'll move through, and we'll definitely will be building them throughout this Let's Play. But as you can see, things like your hay barracks, your granary, warehouse, trading post. Now your trading post will allow you to trade with other towns. By pressing the map, it's actually a world map, and you can see where your city is, and you've got 3 towns. Now at the moment, these 3 towns are standard, so once you've played the game a little bit, you know what these 3 towns, what their demand is and what they're selling. I think, for instance, this is salt and lime for when you're actually tanning. Might have got that wrong. This one is chickens, and this one is cows for when you actually start opening up those facilities. Your market stall allows your citizens to sell goods once they're actually starting to sell goods. Cart parking, I'm sure that's not what it was called in 1721, but cart parking, it just allows you to have more carts. At the moment you've got 3 carts. You've got your mayor's office, which is the camp centre, and you've got your camp storage. As you start to build other facilities, those will actually take place. The next thing I'd recommend you to build, we're out of wood, so just simply clicking will allow you to open up the vacancies to get employees. Now with your forestry, you can work this, as far as I've worked out the mechanics, you can work with a minimum of 1 worker. However, you need 2 workers, as you can see here, to carry in logs. So once you've got a supply of logs, if you're short individuals, you could reduce your workers by 1, and that would take your logs and convert them into wood. But it does appear to actually do the actual forestry itself, to carry the actual logs in, you do need a minimum of 2 workers. The other thing I would suggest you actually start building early on is a thatchery. So once again, the next thing that actually comes up here is just build houses for all families. But you'll find you're going to run out of thatching, which is for the roofs, before you can make 9 or 10 houses. So I suggest you just find yourself a little bit of even ground down by the river or water, depending which map you have, that has reeds. In that sense there, you can simply, we're just going to do it this way, drop it down, and this way it will the employee will go down to the water, grab the reeds, dry them out, and actually make straw or make thatch for the roofs of the houses. So you see them actually moving around. The other thing is, in this game it doesn't actually have, you don't build roads. The roads are naturally developed through your settlers and how they're walking around your camp and your town. So you'll find that over time your roads were actually developed. So there's a little bit in the area. When you click on the stool, you'll find out exactly why it's stalled. And clay, totally my mistake. Need to actually drop a clay pit. The clay pit itself doesn't actually require a location on the ground. You just need to place it to actually drop and get the clay itself. So you want the clay, I guess, somewhere close, but just obviously taken into consideration where you're actually going to expand your town. I'm going to drop my clay pit just over here, and that will be close enough for them to use the clay. They'll use the clay obviously for the bricks for all your buildings. The clay mine itself doesn't also require individuals to work in the mine. They'll actually just go pick up the clay and then they'll drop it off for their buildings. The other one is what I've seen is unless they change it in the format, wherever you drop the clay pit, you're automatically start off with 10,000 units. That may change at a later date. You may find that certain clay points have a higher yield of clay than other areas, but at the moment it's literally the same. It doesn't matter where you're dropping it. That's taken the stool off, and you can see that you can build, you can jump straight back into it. If we look at our stockpiles to start off with, we're only given a little bit amount. We got given 10 iron and 950 nails. You'll find the next thing that you will start running out of is actually nails. But what I want to do is build a few more houses now, just to get those up, to make sure we can get as close to 9 as possible. Obviously every house that I do not build, I would lose settlers, and obviously by losing the settlers, uneven ground's going to make it a little bit tougher. We'll turn this around. By losing the settlers, then you've got less settlers to actually work, and it will just have a snowball effect in regards to the amount of available employees you've got to actually work within your town itself. Hopefully that will just build a little bit of a road down the bottom. As you can see now, I've got my 9 houses up for build. Now I can pause the houses, and they should build them in that order as we come through. So here's the first house, and you'll find that one of these tents will actually get slowly packed up as they move into the house themselves. So there's the family, the Trush family. They're obviously super happy since they were given the first house. And there you can see, as I mentioned there, they've actually sort of dropped off and shut down one of those tents. So the next thing we want to do is we've got our thatching, we've got our lumberyard or our forestry, we've got our clay, which we actually forgot at the beginning, we've got our water for our well itself. Next thing we want to actually look at is bringing in a sustainability of some sort of food. Now there's 2 food options, there's plenty of food options actually, but I guess in the early part, probably the 2 easiest food options is either fishing or farming. So we're going to do both of those. we'll start off with a bit of a farm, and we've got a nice patch of open area here that looks good. Once again, fertility is not an issue with this one. Both the farming and the fishing are not available during winter, so there will be a 3-month period that you will not be able to fish and a 3-month period that you will not be able to farm. So we've missed the season for this year, so it's always a way up on, do you build your farm first so you can lay a set of crops, then you move all your farmers to actually do the labour, or do you get yourself straight into the housing? We've built 9 houses, so time will tell whether we can actually build 9 houses in time. Okay, so let's start looking at the farms themselves. Farms is actually under production. It's to start off with, it's just a simple farm. If you try and go on where you've actually sort of built a house already, it will stop you. So that's actually a very handy tool. I can rotate it and drop myself a farm within this area here. All right, that's 2 houses up. Now the other thing that we may want to look at is such things is for other food sources that we have. As I said, we've already got the fishing. The fishing is not a standalone that I've seen. You actually need boats. So you need to build your boatyard first. Then once you've built your boatyard, then you can build your fishing and order your fishing boats. Chickens and cow sheds, you need to actually, your first lot of chickens and cows need to come from another village. To do that, you need to actually have a trading port to actually set up. So there's a couple of things there just before you can get your first lot of chickens. So I'd recommend probably the farm where you can get wheat, which is for your flour. You can also get potato, so that puts in a level of stability for your food. But we're also now going to start working on, let's say, the fishing. So let's build ourselves a boatyard. Actually, we've got people, I should have left a gap between the houses so they could move between. That's all right. Poor planning. So we'll build a boatyard. Now the boatyard isn't actually used that much afterwards. So once they've built the boats, you don't have much use for the boatyard. Unlike your fishing dock, which is used continually for people to actually fish. So there we go. There's one boatyard and one fishing. We're going to speed that up and we'll see how we go. So what we need to do, as I said, the priority for the first year I found is to build as close to 9, if not 9 houses, to try and stop your settlers from departing, your 23 settlers that you start off with, or your 23 citizens. At the top, you can click on them as well, so it will actually tell you where we actually have at the moment. So our water supply is poor. We have no market and no housing available. We have jobs available. That is what's stopping additional migration coming in. But I'd feel that you probably won't get any additional migration for the first 2 years until you've actually done that. In the second year, you'll start to build your sustainable food. Water would be no problems by then, and your market will be up and running. The second one you've got is your treasury. So you can't adjust your economy, such as increasing your taxes. You're not actually taxing the people. You're raising the pricing of your house rental that you're building. You're also raising the prices of goods, and I guess that's how you're getting the taxes themselves. but you can see what you've got in stock or available. The other one we're actually going to build, while we're slowly starting to build here now, is our smith, just to make sure that we don't run out of nails. So I'm just going to throw it over here. It's another thing that you tend to, once you've got it established, you don't tend to use it overly that much. I do like this map for a change, because one thing that I've never used in here is the bridge. So I'm interested to actually throw a bridge and then actually start working on the other side here to sort of expand the town going over. So I do like the idea of growing this one. And see how we go. Now you do have the ability to demolish buildings. In regards to the housing, I've just noticed that I don't appear to actually have a demolish button on the housing, so not sure if that's implemented is it yet. There's no natural events within the game, so I haven't had things such as lightning strikes or fires, as you may have in other games where you need to make sure that houses aren't burning down, and if you build all your houses together, that they're not sort of, the fire's not going to sort of spread. There is no threats, so you don't have any wildlife, any bears or anything that will attack your villages as you're growing, and you don't have any hordes coming over the mountains to attack your villages either. So it is purely just the city building. So at this stage we've got 4 houses up. We've got another one on the road now. We will see how that goes. I notice we haven't done the jetty. Because I'm building the farm up here, I'm just going to throw a jetty down this side if I can get some non-uneven terrain. No, you're going to give me uneven terrain all the way. All right, we will throw one here, and I'll use that for something else. Now, I found with the water, generally I've been able to survive because you automatically start with 1 water at the beginning, and you can always tap in to sort of see how much food. So they've got enough supplies to last, what I found, enough supplies to last 2 years. Stalled, let's check. They're stalled because of thatch. Same thing. I built it, too much talking, forgot to actually employ a thatch worker. So that's going to slow it down a little bit here, but I'm not too concerned. It's July. We might get a second thatch worker. I found 1 thatch worker is more than enough to have a level stability up to around about the citizens of about 100 citizens that I've worked with. But I've just got 2 thatch workers at the moment, just because I made the mistake of when the building was completed, not actually employing people. One thing I do want to point out is down the bottom you've got your hire options. One of the things you've got here is whether you're hiring males or females, and the type of wage you're doing. Now obviously if you're increasing the wage for certain trades, at the moment all you're doing is increasing the wages for that trade. You're not hiring the best talent. The education isn't in there at the moment. The thing that I point out is not every job, like this one here, I cannot hire women to be thatchers. So as you can probably expect in 1721, it was a lot of the jobs are very male dominant. But there are some jobs such as farming, around the textiles and so forth, flour mills. Actually no, flour mills is male. Certainly the shops and that can be either male or female. So what I've done to sort of help balance it is where I've seen the option, such as working on the farms or working in the like the chicken sheds and so forth, where there's an option for women to work, I've disabled the men. And then that way I've tried to get a balance of trying to have all my citizens working. Because you'll find on the household obviously has the children, but also the husband and wife. And if they're employed or unemployed, it also has a wealth of a family. And that wealth of the family affects what they can actually buy. And if only one person is working, they do seem to take a little bit of a pinch. So what I try and do is try and get both individuals working, so they can generate enough income to have it sustainable for them to actually live within the town. Especially when you start, there's a stage where you do need to start raising the taxes a little bit until you can become self-sufficient to export goods. What are we doing here? Let's have a look. All right, so we've got six houses. We've got 3 more to go. That's that one, and that one. All right, that's all right, and we'll leave a gap here so we can go down to the river. Not too bad. I probably would have, if I did it again, I'd leave a gap in the middle, I think. But it could be worse. Okay, so we've got our water well. So we're saying no housing available and no market. So what we're going to do now is we've got our 9 tents. It's just whether they can build 9 tents by time we do it. Now you can see little things here, like we're starting to spend some time on the boat shed. I don't want to, so I'm going to hit pause. We're spending a little bit on the smithy. I'm going to pause this one as well, because what I want is I want 100% attention on the and we'll just put it on the farm as well and pause that. 100% attention on housing. Markets. So markets are actually found under trade and transport. So markets are actually the trading post. So the first thing we're going to do is actually do a market stall, and we're going to throw the market stall. You know what? Let's throw it in the town centre, but we'll throw it here. You can rotate everything and drop ourselves a little market stall in the middle. As all these empty out, obviously this space opens up so you can actually start building things that are more town centric. So your parks, your government offices and so forth. So I assume, once again, medical, health, education and church, once they're in play, I would drop them in the middle as well and have the housing around here. We're going to have our trading post. We'll drop our trading post. It's a fairly big building. Generally I've had it on the outside, but the trading post itself they will drop things off to the trading post, and then you need to take those items. And we're potentially going to have, what are we going to have? Not much coming in. No, we're going to drop the trading post off on the outside. I'm not sure where the other towns are coming from. I know on another map where all the carts come from. But we are going to drop, you can always find out that's where the farm is, that's where the other houses. We'll drop the trading post off here. With the foresters, if it's the same as the last one, they will not clear this forest. You'll find that it will actually they will plant at the same time as cut the trees down. So you don't have a fear of that running out and then suddenly we have to go and have foresters all the way out here just to make sure that your resources survive. So we're October. I think we may get another house in play. but I don't think we're going to do 9. I think one of these families, the Yarosko or the, I'm not even going to try and pronounce that one, may get a little bit frustrated and leave. That's okay. Let's all hands on deck. And what you could do, we could definitely reduce the thatching. So you've got a maximum there, as I said, maximum limits of reeds and thatches. Now what you can do is, once you actually build such things as warehouses, you can move those in there and set your limits into your houses. Now the other thing I've noticed is the houses do not deteriorate. So it's not that you need, it's not that you need reeds or thatching to keep on supporting the build of your town. So you don't need maintenance on your houses. So once you've sort of hit an equilibrium of the houses that you want, you can really slow down your thatching if required. Nails, on the other hand, let's have a look what we've got. That was the market stall. Okay, 287 nails. So as soon as this house is built, then we'll work on smithing just to make sure we get the our nails up. So that means we've chewed through nearly 800 nails just to build the first phase of the town, which is approximately 9 months. Okay, fingers crossed we can last till December. We're basically just at the beginning of November and we're 50% through our house. So I think we may do it. Now I've got to be honest, this would be the first time that I've actually kept 100% of my citizens at the end of the first year. If we do it. And that's with a couple of silly mistakes. We forgot to put the clay down, so we had a stall there, and we forgot to employ people both on the forestry and the thatching. So after watching the video, if you just make sure you put those things down, you should be in a very good position at the end of the first year to get in there. Now, if you actually want some more builders, no, I think we're right. I was going to say, if you're getting short and you're getting close to the time, what you can actually do is you can actually fire a couple of your other employees, and there we go. Plenty of time. So now let's unpause some of these. We'll unpause the smithy first. We can unpause the farm, the boat shed, and the fishing shed. Well, we can actually do them all. And let's get going. And what they will do now is, now that I've kept 100% of my citizens through the winter, which is great. The next thing we're looking at, so I've got no housing to allow more citizens to come. Not a problem. We can build another house, it's just not a priority. The second one is we don't have enough food to sell. So winter is coming. Winter is now upon us. And it is nice. It is very quick. So what we need to do is, for the next season or through winter, is make sure we start getting everything ready. So we start establishing food. So we start getting food in the next year. So I'm going to hold it there, guys. I think that was a great little start on how to establish and how to get to your first year. Just to sort of do a quick recap. Obviously, the important things is you need to build your forestry, your clay, and your thatchery. They are, my suggestion would be the only 3 buildings that would be mandatory in your first year. The second thing, then 100%, is to focus on your housing. You anything less than 9 houses, you will lose citizens. If you build more than 9 houses, you will not get more citizens because you won't have a market and you won't have food. So I'd suggest that just build your 9 houses, and that will just get you to the first year. Then, as we've had here, then you can start working on food production, markets. But we're going to save that for another episode. So thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed the Let's Play and how to set up, start out in Ostriv. Hope you've enjoyed it. Don't forget to hit the likes. Leave some comments if you'd like to see more, if you'd like to see me focus on certain areas, speed up, slow down, cut and edit some of the play, whatever you would like, leave it in the comments. I do read and reply to the comments. So hope you enjoy the game. I'm looking forward to seeing the development and see where this game goes. Have fun, and we'll see you in the next episode.